Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Jay from Coding with Jaybird, where I upload weekly tutorials to help build your confidence in coding. Today we're going to learn about JavaScript string methods. Let's start coding, shall we? Using Visual Studio Code, I've opened up my string methods project folder here. You can see a CSS folder along with the JS folder that has a main.js file. And then I have my string methods HTML file. Now within this file, I have a bunch of paragraph tags, and what I plan to do is output the answer for each one of these points here, as you can see, in the span tag that follows it. So this span tag has an ID of ex1, meaning example 1, all the way down to the 10th one, which is example 10. All right, so let's go ahead and start coding in our main.js. Today I want to talk a little bit about string methods. Now JavaScript string methods are very useful. Our first one that we're going to cover is the string length method. The length property returns the length of a string. So if I had some variable called duck, which had a value of, let's say, rubber duck, I can get the length of this string by using the length property. So since I want to display this or output this in the first paragraph, which has an ID of example 1, let's just say document.getElement by ID, and we'll target example 1. And in here, I want to change the inner HTML to, and what I'm going to do is use duck, which stores the value of rubber duck, and using dot notation, I'll say rubber duck dot length, and I'm able to get the length property. So when I save this, you can see the length of the string rubber duck is 10, and that's because there are 10 characters in the string. Now the next method I want to talk about is the string slice method. Now the slice extracts a part of a string and returns the extracted part in a new string. Now the method takes two parameters, the first one being the start position and the next one being the end position. So if I had a variable called hobby and in it I stored I like reading books, now I want to place the answer of this in document.getElement by ID, example 2, in our HTML. And now using that variable hobby, I can apply the slice method to this. And let's say I wanted the 7th character all the way to the 11th character. We get the word read. And that's because I, which is the first character, is the 0 position. And then that gives us the 7th to the 11th is READ. Now, this slice method also works if we have negative values in the parameters. So let's test out another example. I'll say let negative equal my negative indexes. And once again, we have our document.getElement by ID, example 3, inner HTML equals, and now I'll use negative dot, I'll apply the slice method, and I'll use negative indexes, so negative 5 and negative 2. And we get back DEX. And that's because when you're dealing with negative indexes, it counts backwards. So it takes the very end position of the string and goes back -5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which takes you to just before D. And then all the way to -2, which takes you to the end of X. And that's why you get DEX. Now the next method I want to talk about is the string substring method. Now the substring method is similar to slice, but it cannot accept negative indexes. So I'll create a variable called coding equals JavaScript. And once again, we'll place this inside our next example. So our next example paragraph is ex4. And I'll use coding, and now I'll apply the substring method to it, And if I pass in 2 comma 5, I get back VAS. And that's because the first position is 0, then 1, then 2, and the letters after that are VAS, and it stops at position 5. Now let's talk about the replace string method next. Now the replace method replaces a specified value with another value in a string. And this returns a new string and doesn't change the original string. So let's create a variable called original. Original equals my original string. And once again, I want to place this in the next paragraph span tag. And I'll use original and apply the replace method to it. And what I want to do is I want to replace the word original with the word new. So here I'll pass in original as the first value, and then let's say capital NEW as the next value. And when I save this, what we'll see is the string will now say my new string. And you can see that here, my new string. Another important method that's very useful is the string to uppercase method. Now this method is pretty intuitive. It takes a string and then makes all the letters within the string uppercase. So let's test it out by having some string1 equal to my uppercase string. And once again, I want to place this in the next span tag. So I'll take the same string1 and I'll apply the to uppercase method to it. And when I save it, we'll see it took that string, my uppercase string, and made all the characters in that string uppercase. Now, similar to this, we have another method called to lowercase. So let's create another string here, and we'll call this my lowercase string. And I'm purposely making every letter uppercase so that we can change it to lowercase. Okay, so again, we'll grab string 2 and we'll apply the lowercase method to it. And when I save it, as you can see here, it took that string which had all uppercase letters and turned them to all lowercase letters. Next, let's talk about the string concat method. Now this concat method joins 2 or more strings. So I'm just going to create a few words. Let's say word 1 will be my, and then let word 2 equal concatenated. And I'll create a third word. And you can create as many as you like, really. It's just joining these strings. And I want to place this in example 8. And what I want to do is I want to join them. So the way that works is you grab the first one that you want to concatenate onto. So I'll say word 1 dot concat method. And in here, I just start placing the things that I want to join onto it. So let's say I want to join an empty space. So my space, then comma, I want to add on word 2. And again, between word 2 and the next word, I want an empty space. So I'll put a string value of an empty space. And then I'll have word 3. And when I save this, you can see my concatenated string. So it took all 3 of these words and joined them together and put spaces between them. Perfect. Now the next method I'd like to discuss is the trim method. So we'll let some string named str equal too much space. So I'm artificially creating a lot of space here. And again, we want to output this in the span tag with example 9 as its ID. And I'm going to take that variable str and apply the trim method to it. And when I save it, you can see too much space, and all that spacing has disappeared. So it takes all that space at the beginning and the end, and it removes it. Okay, now lastly, I want to talk about the string character at method, which is written as char at. Now, the string character at method returns a character at a specified index, meaning the position, in a string, and the first position is 0. So if I have some variable called text equals my sentence, and again, I want to output the answer in example 10. I can use that variable text and apply that character at method onto it. And let's say I want to pass in the value 3. And when I save this, you get the value s. And the reason for this is the first character in the string holds a position value of 0. So m equals 0, y would be 1, the space is 2, and the character at position 3 is s. That concludes my tutorial on string methods. I hope you've been enjoying watching my videos so far. If you have, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so I can continue to make more coding videos for you in the weeks to come. Until next week, keep on coding!